So the first thing I want to talk about is forecasting. Forecasting, there's something that I've not seen done very well at all in the industry. It's super complicated, but yet it underpins so many activities. What I see and what we've seen, and I'll be interested to hear other views of this, is that forecasting is typically done by the finance team. It is potentially done in a spreadsheet, and they sort of do it maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on a monthly basis, maybe even on a quarterly basis. And then they become, like the Cassandra. They know all the information, but actually giving that to the people who can make a change is extremely difficult. Forecasting is probably the most technical time I'm going to have. The forecasting actually requires a lot of data, because there's a lot of signals out there in the market. You can stand outside a restaurant, you can see people walking. You need analogies to them. And what we see is people doing forecasting using spreadsheets. They take their cover data for one restaurant and they do some trends to do some forecasts on that. If they're smart, they then take all of the restaurants in their group and they build a slightly more bigger picture spreadsheet on top of that. Again, that's a lot of work, that's a lot of putting data together. There are other trends you can pull. You can pull weather data on it, start overlaying that, because weather is a significant driver of people coming and not coming to hotels and restaurants. If it's a sunny day, if you're only in this 3 days in advance, you're going to have a lot of people coming in. If it's not a sunny day, maybe you want to, or maybe certain sites are different. You can also take the number of people on the website looking to make a reservation, and you can see how that has changed. And you build back into a forecast. As soon as we start doing all of those things, those bottom things, we're now starting to deal with thousands, potentially billions of data points, and we're starting to have to turn the handle quite hard. And again, now this becomes out of the purview of some people working with spreadsheets, potentially internal teams, because it requires data engineering and data analysts to do this way. And again, it's done weekly or monthly. Actually, to get super accurate forecasts, you need to have a lot more data. I mean, a lot more data to understand what's going on. You need to be pulling in the local market conditions. You may know that there's an event going on. You may know the Edinburgh Fringe is happening in Edinburgh. You may know that there's a local football game. But you may not know that just around the corner from you there's a meetup event. So you don't know what's going on. You can't possibly stay on top of all of that every single board. So you need to be pulling in local boards, local market conditions. Also, you don't know what's happening in the area in terms of the economic value that's going on there. So you might have an area which is on the up, you might have an area which is in the decline. You don't know. You need to be pulling those things in again on a daily basis. Global market conditions are important as well. You need to overlay those trends. And then what you really want to do is you want to be seeing a view across the whole global restaurant picture. So that's billions of data points. What is happening, what people are looking for in your competitors in your area. Billions of data points, and to do that is beyond the scope of a little bit of software. That is actually where AI comes in. So there you can pull all of that information together, it can do an interpretation, and it can tell you, give you a crystal ball, what is going to happen on a per site basis for every site, for every shift you're running.